It's stuck. It's stuck. What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's been a minute. I mean, it's been cool because last time we were together, we got to talk to the creator himself, or well, the artist. But now we get to continue. How you guys doing, man?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Happy Hump Day, Comic Book Day, and folks, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Valiant TLDR, the ultimate deep dive into the history, creators, and behind-the-scenes stories of Valiant Comics. So, join myself. I'm an OG Valiant fan, really all about VH1. Our friend Jason Richardson, aka Southern Comic Geek, who's been riding the Valiant wave since day one, and Newell Turner, aka Stingray. He's our fresh eyes in discovering the universe for the very first time. So every week we're bringing you in-depth reviews, unboxings, exclusive creator interviews, exploring the past, present, and future of the beloved Valiant universe.
That's right.
Welcome to Valiant TLDR.
Well, and actually, you have to add a little asterisk to that because I found out through our text thread last week that Newell actually knows a little something about some VH2 stuff.
A little bit. Yeah. I'm an OG Quantum and Woody fan.
That was new. We were caught off guard a little bit, because I had zero exposure to Quantum Woody. So
That's crazy to me because but I mean, it's not either because it's also an Acclaim book, and I don't know if you read much of the Acclaim stuff.
No. I think
at the time, I had no idea that Acclaim was in any way related to Valiant, Quantum and Woody was the only Acclaim book that I read, and I think I was reading that just because Christopher Priest was writing it, and I was familiar with him from his work on Black Panther and Deadpool, actually. So both of those,
yeah, cool.
I'm excited to get there. I mean, it'll be fun to dive into Quantum Woody.
Yeah, then you'll be the new guy.
Exactly. I'll be the fresh eyes. So, we'll jump right into it. I mean, actually, before we jump into it, like, how do you guys feel, like, thinking back of our conversation with Sean? That was cool. Like,
that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Man, I haven't heard a lot of those stories. He came fresh with it, but any kind of memories that came out of it, like moments that stood out?
I really enjoyed the Reading Rainbow video.
That was awesome.
It's very possible I may have seen that episode when it came out, but I didn't remember it at all. So that was kind of cool.
Well, and the fun thing of seeing the Barry Windsor Smith prelim for that promotional poster was fun, and then the conversations that take place after the fact. Dan Moeller, as an example, revealing the design for the Emperor.
Cool.
Revealing that design, and then also the people coming out of the woodwork as far as who owns what, and so found out who actually owns the original that poster work by Sean, and another issue in the Ride in the Future Force. And then the funny thing, I think I shared this on the text thread, but that this person owns the whole issue except for the cover. And then I found out who owned the cover. So it
detective work.
Yeah, Jason's definitely a detective. I don't know how you find these things, but
now wait a minute. You have got the magnet for deals. Of course, people like they're calling you up and they're like, Carl, this is the page for you, man. This is the cover for you.
I don't know. So I mean, 90% of the time I can't afford it, or it's just not the right timing. But sometimes I do kind of stretch a little bit. I think we're all on top of it's funny. There's a fashion label that my friend used to run, and his tagline was "In love with a lifestyle I can't afford," and that's like, wow, that's very relatable when it comes to comic art collecting.
Yeah. Well, because it always seems to pop up like when you can't do it, you're like, oh,
it's always
yep.
So. Yeah, it's a problem, but we all love it. So, and we all can relate. So, with that said, why don't we dive right into our topic today, which is Ride in the Future Force 16. We're in.
We did 16.
Oh, we did. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. But we can recap some of that great Sean Chen art.
Yeah, I'll blast through kind of 16, and then that was kind of cool. Yeah, no, talking to Sean really made me do a double take on the art because it really does kind of highlight even this, like this scene here. You know,
Mhm.
kind of like a childlike. I just imagine this kid with Barry Windsor Smith hovering over him and giving direction. Like, you know, that's
Barry
such,
and Bob.
and Bob. Yeah,
Mhm.
so cool. All right, here we are.
They ended with them finding out that the Malevs were trying to destroy the atmosphere
Yeah.
to make the Earth uninhabitable.
Which is one of the reasons why Spylock is, well, I'm not spoil it, but I think we did mention on a previous episode his actual origin.
Well, I asked a question. You guys made big eyes, but you never confirmed or denied.
Oh, okay. So I will save
That's
a
true.
little comment till then. But
Let's not spoil it for Bredazzle. Hey, Bredazzle, as well as Aurelius. Thanks for always checking in. We appreciate you. But yeah, we're diving into, you know, number 17, and you know, obviously there was some drama between Ryan, Magnus, and Jason. Is this the first time they kind of see each other after a while, after splitting up?
yeah, so they had split up, and then they were coming. He got told that there was some kind of hanky panky going on, and so here's where they meet back up and have that awkward moment of yeah.
And you
So
notice we
that's
have a new artist this issue.
We do. Jim
Yeah,
Calafiore.
Jim Calafiore.
Yeah. Which I kind of liked his art. I thought it was pretty decent.
Yeah, he was doing a bunch over on the Magnus title, so
Okay. So it made sense.
yeah. So he was kind of flipping back and forth.
I like Jim. Jim, he was on an interview recently on one of those, like, you know, comic book podcasts, and I really like him as a human being. Like he feels like he truly loves his work, and you know, he's out there at all the conventions and all the shows, always on the hustle. But when you even look at his early works, you know, I thought, you know, he did a good job. You could tell he put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know you have too gotten a commission from him, and to me, like in just talking with him, he's one of these guys that's still very reasonable on their commissional prices, but a solid artist,
Yes.
for somebody that's been in the industry as long as he has.
All right, so of course these guys are gonna banter and be like, you know, not much to say. He's mad. He's mad at Rye, dude. He's like, what the heck? You banged my chick.
It's a great way to end friendships.
Yeah, easy way to mention fast.
So so I mean, everybody starts going back and forth. Everybody's at each other's throats. One's picking Rye's side, one's picking Magnus's side, and everybody's kind of just drawing their weapons. We find out a little bit later, in the cover of this issue kind of alludes to what is fixing to go down, but we find out why everybody's so hyper in their feelings when it comes to being around Rye, or it's mentioned again that he doesn't necessarily have control over those powers. So
his Harbinger powers.
Harbinger.
Yeah.
Well, similar to like Pete, right? Early on during Harbinger, we questioned if Pete was people were actually doing what they wanted to do, or was Pete influencing them?
That's right.
It sounds like Rye has a similar power, right?
Man,
that's right.
He's got Harbinger powers, and he's got the Blood of Heroes.
Yeah, he's stacked.
Yeah, he and that's why everybody's so adamant. Like, this is the best chance we've got to beat the Emperor, because of this power and skill set. Of course, Alicia jumps in the middle of there, and she's like, "Hey, you boys, settle down. I know I'm hot, but you gotta chill out." So they start asking about where Timbuk is, which we found out last issue died. They don't know that yet. So
he blew up in one of the I forget what they called it, but the centers that the Malevs were using to control like all the other robots.
Poor guy. I feel like have you guys seen White Lotus yet? In the latest season, he reminds me of one of the characters in there, where like he's working so hard to get the girl, but by the time that he is able to do it, it just doesn't happen for him. Poor guy.
Well, he went out with style.
Style, for sure. That was great. So now we're recruiting this we're in the jungle, and we're recruiting folks to come along for the ride, right? And then we're
They're going into the city to fight.
Yep.
They're still in Southam at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they had hooked up at, and the Emperor's expressing her or their, as it were, displeasure in the fact that the atmosphere had not been destroyed, but there is a looming plan that we will find out that plans to win the war with, and we'll find out about that in a few issues. But everybody's heading off that way, and strangely, like right now, Leisha still seems to be attracted to Rai. In a few issues, I don't know if it's because he got a hold of his psyop powers or whatever, and kind of tampered them down. But then she starts clinging back to Magnus. So
I also like when we see the Emperor here, the way they talk about all the humans. Like, I want all the meat butchered.
Yes. Well, and one of the things that they refer to in a couple of issues, spoiler alert, but one of the things they refer to in a couple of issues is they didn't want to be a part of the Malev's Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about
all the batteries,
vibes and stuff like that. And that's what they were calling the whole hive thing. So,
yeah, the good memories, Jackson and Roy Kirk. Yep, these were good memories. And, the drama also continues, right? In the midst of all the kind of big picture stuff happening with the good and evil. What's her name again? The robot girl?
Tekla,
yeah. So she's coming in and be like, basically admitting, I guess it's my fault, Leisha. Sorry.
She's a snitch.
I snitched you out, yeah.
Well, yeah, and on the next page, she's like, "Hey, look, I thought we were kind of friends. You kind of threw me under the bus there.
Yeah, I know.
But she said you did it, but the only reason you did it was because you have an attraction to him yourself. Like, so basically, you threw me under the bus to make yourself look good." And she's like, "Oh, I'm better suited. He's more comfortable around robots than he is around humans."
I bet he is.
Interesting. So do you guys feel like, even though when it happened, she was acting all innocent and whatever else, and she didn't know better logic wise, because the bird had to talk with her too, right? Or do you feel like now it reveals that she did it on purpose because she had
I think she did it on purpose, because if you go back and read the early Magnus issues prior to all of this, she had always had the hots for him.
Oh yeah, because she made herself look this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
attract
appeal to him. Yeah, to appeal to him. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's this mission they're going on now? Because they're on a mission. They're going back to look for Timbuk, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. They land. Ooh, brutal.
They found him.
What's left?
Right.
so brutal, dude. This is flat on the floor.
Yeah. Like she can sense that that's where he died. Like, well, like, duh.
Yeah. Captain Obvious.
And it's cool. Like, this reminds me a lot of Matrix as they're kind of flying in.
Oh yeah, the Sentinels.
Yeah,
Sentinels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kill, reduce, elements, recycle.
So the other thing with this is, like, you notice that all of a sudden the Malevs show up, and they're all. We'll find out in a few issues how is it that they're able to pinpoint them so accurately. We find that out. But yeah, so everybody's kind of all poor Rai, because he's like, man, it's all my fault. He's taking the blame, taking one for the team. And Magnus is like, dude, the reason why everybody's like that is because you're using your powers on him.
Oof.
And he's like, I don't think I am.
He's like, what?
What, me? So anyway, so Magnus brings it up, and he's like, hey, this is probably the reason why you even, let him bang you like that. And
wow. Just calling it out.
And it's really if you think about, like, Magnus's origin, how was he made?
Raised by robot, right? Oh yeah, that's true. His parents were an accident.
Yeah, so like they weren't. Pete and Chris were together, right? Not Tor.
Oh, shoot.
And it's kind of just a repeat of history.
Yo, I love that. Do you think they intentionally did that? Like, it's almost like
I would imagine so, because it's fairly obvious, but and so then Magnus comes off as the Pete figure here, right?
Right.
As the cooler head, but anyway, so yeah, they're all leaving on the next page.
Who wrote this? Real quick, pencil, inker,
John Ostrander.
John Ostrander. We should get John Ostrander and ask him, like, was all this drama kind of pre-planned? Was it from personal experience?
Well, in a team book, you almost have to have drama, right? It's kind of like the X-Men, have always been, a drama-laden book.
Gotta have the conflict.
For sure.
But so yeah, Magnus says, "Tell me it's not true." He's like, "I don't know." And so, like, okay, we got to settle things down, and it's like, kill the meat.
Yep, they arrive.
It's like an Ultron scene right there, right? Like,
Well,
is that all you have? And all these Ultrons come out. And he's like, yeah, you had to ask, right?
Yo, look at how crazy it is. After talking to Sean, I also realized he did draw everyone different. Look at that. They don't all look the same. Yeah. Well, I guess it's not Sean, but Jim California.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, according to Sean, it made it easier. It would have been worse
Oh,
to make them
true.
look the same. So, I mean,
Yeah. Targeting me, Destiny Leisure.
and here we go, more judo chops.
Yeah, there we go.
And the werewolf guy, space werewolf, whatever.
He's
So,
a
yeah, I mean,
character.
constant action. Everybody, lights into battle. And then we have this scene where Magnus,
Oh shit.
not even thinking, cuts her arm off.
Right.
Well, that's when Spylock realizes that it's so bad that Rye is using his battle lust, so to speak, and projecting that out to other people.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So that's why everybody's just like fighting like mad, wild mad,
And it's funny because looking at that page, at that top panel there, looks like it could be out of an X-Men book. Like that could be Jean Grey.
Yeah.
That could be the daughter from Excalibur, the other Phoenix, Rachel. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so Spylock's like, hey, I gotta take him down. So Tekla is, wondering, it's like, wait a minute, I'm a robot. I understand how I'm not being affected by Rye. How is it that you're not being affected by Rye?
Oh shoot.
Maybe he's not a people.
Yeah.
So he we kind of got a glimpse of this on the cover. Well, here we have the scene. He comes behind him, nails him in the back, knocks him out, so that everybody kind of chills out and listens that they got to retreat. So
it's kind of cool, like for the guys at Valiant to think about this concept. Is that when we all know about Wolverine and his rage, right? Like when he goes crazy, but like Rye can do this for his whole army. That's pretty cool, like to have that kind of level of influence.
Yeah, so like he has the Blood of Heroes, which Bloodshot had, and in VH1, like Bloodshot has a certain set of skills, and it's really that he was or had the Harbinger talent. He was a Psyop, but all he had was those few sets of skills, whereas like it's amped up in Rye because of his type, whatever his Harbinger skill was slightly different than Ray Garrison's or Michael Lazarus or whatever he wants to call himself in VH1 Bloodshot. But yeah, so his is amped up to the nth degree, and they're kind of displaying that here.
That's cool. And Leisure is a lot more powerful than we know, right?
Right.
Well, I think we mentioned this in an earlier episode, but when she was coming in Gold Key, she was like the typical damsel in distress, right? Mm-hmm. Like she had the short skirt, the high boots, and like, oh, Magnus, help me. But when Valiant took her over, especially as the Magnus title kind of progressed, she became her own person, right?
Yeah, strong woman.
So,
yep. Well, and then they explain it too, right there. The Malevs work off of the ectotheric energy, and so does she. So when they kind of swarm her like that, they're feeding into her. So it allows her to kind of have the big display of powers like that.
That's right. It amps her power up too. since it's available, she's able to tap into
And that's
it.
how she knows when they're coming too. That happened a couple of times in the previous issues where she's like, "Uh-oh, I detect ectotheric energy. There must be Malev nearby."
That's right.
And I guess after the battle, they're around the cave and they're just having their discussion. And ultimately, now, Rye's leadership is in question. There's a bit of a split, a split between the party.
Yeah, and they're determined. Hey, we're gonna continue on. We got to kind of watch it. Magnus like, hey, I don't trust him, especially around her. But and but we're going to continue to.
I don't blame him.
Right.
There we go. So the next one. And did the artist change again? It looks different.
Well, the cover's different. That's
definitely different.
Rod.
Yeah, this one's penciler's Spark and the inker is Gonzalo Mayo.
Oh,
so, yeah, you can tell the inks of Gonzalo Mayo are a lot different than what they've been doing.
Yeah, very yes.
So this is kind of foreshadowing something because they're finding like these holes and stuff. And then we'll find several more of people that have been bloodlet out, and they're like, wonder why they would do that.
Wait, was this a direct continuation from the last issue, or did something happen in between?
No, nothing happened.
They kind of skipped ahead. It feels like
they did, right? Yeah.
We don't see them getting to this point,
right? Yeah. So when we, where did my Magnus issue go?
What's interesting to me is like if you look at even the creative team, completely shifted. It's like almost like you could already feel the shift at Valiant.
Yeah, and you start the problem sometimes, as you know, with having a creative team like change, like that dramatic of a change, it just starts, that it's disjointed. It's like it's shifting gears too hard or something.
I think so too. Stan actually mentioned those fight scenes are clean. Are fight scenes more difficult to create than other scenes? If you care about them, yeah, because often the artist, the way I kind of like to put it is in a movie you have a writer who writes the screenplay, and you have a director who is overseeing the project, but you also have a cinematographer who frames the shots. And then often when you have action shots, you bring in like an action director and they basically direct the action parts. So an artist in comics, why I think it's such a challenging job is they're all three. They're the director, cinematographer, the action director. And so, yeah, they have to really spend time putting on different hats to deliver each of these scenes. So yes and no, I guess, depending on
lots of photo reference.
Exactly. A lot of references, or if like they understand how action works.
Watching lots of Bruce Lee movies.
Or lots of Bob Lane standing on tables doing karate chops.
Right.
Or choking out women.
Yeah, and choking out female coworkers. Which in the modern day will not fly.
Yeah.
What's up, Kenneth? Welcome as always. Thanks for that question, Stan. Feel free to drop us more. We'll continue diving into Slaves of New York.
So you notice that they're in New York, so they're back in North Am. But yeah, so if the Malevs attack and Magnus and the other two get separated, and so they're going to end up meeting a pretty bad dude who meets pretty bad end. What's up, Immortal Biggie Shack?
Are they going to meet Snake Plissken?
Oh, hey, Immortal.
Who?
Snake Plissken.
Snap
Escape from New York.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Here's the guy.
Well, so this guy's running from him. So and so the guy on the hover card is who they're going to meet there. And so
he's like the mayor or something.
Right. And so these people have bombs in them. Like, and if they try to escape or something, he just blows them up.
Yep.
Wow. Kind of reminds me of like the Ragnarok guy, the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Goldblum, I think.
Yeah, he doesn't have as much style as Jeff, but yeah. I mean,
nobody does.
Exactly. Yeah, no one. Nobody. Okay, so they're in New York, and the subway is kind of developed into this society where they control people, right?
Right. And so so they find he finds Magnus, and he's telling him about the little city and everything that's going on there. And of course, there's manual labor. Question is, the Goths work here as slaves, so the Goths are kind of the lower part of society. In early Magnus, he went down. He being Magnus went down with the Goths, and so he's friends regardless of what socioeconomic scale.
We saw that in the flip books, right? Because it started off with him down in the bar.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, versus like Lesia's dad and all these big politicians, they live up high in the sky. The Goths live in the gutters.
Right.
And so this guy's like, yeah, they're Goths. What are Goths? I hope it doesn't bother you. And, so it's obviously not going to sit well with Magnus. Yeah, we have some more foreshadowing here because which seemed kind of forced, I don't know, but they give the little soup, and Rye says, well, man, this smells awful, but could be good. And Spylock says, no, I'm not going to eat anything. He goes, who do you eat with? You've never broken bread with me.
Oh, and then he's just so hungry, he just goes for it, doesn't even finish the thought.
Right. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, foreshadow. Yeah, what do you eat?
Soylent Green.
That's true. That's pretty good. How these little hints that they do.
Yep. So
Magnus is up there hobnobbing, getting the real food.
That's right.
Dude's even got his pinky out.
That's hilarious. Yeah, the pinky out.
Because that's how all rich people eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have the pinky out.
Wow, Rye's not good looking anymore. Just whoever drew the way he drew his face, he looked like aged like 1,000 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not quite his best work there.
But so then Rye tries to use his powers again. He's purposely trying to rile up the slaves and get them to fight because they're so beaten down that they don't want to go against the masters. So he's like, "Come on!" And then that's when the Malevs show up.
Oh wait, just at the moments they always just show up, right.
Well, so he's trying to get them all worked up, and then they say, all right, well, if you're going to rebel against me, I'll just start blowing people up. And so then that's when they realize the transmitter is the thing hanging around his neck. So Magnus destroys that, so he can't kill nobody else.
Nice.
Then the Malevs show up and grab him and Magnus, and a fitting demise for such a crook. Rye has to say, Mindlock, you, the one that's got madness.
Mindlock.
What if the robot said, no, I'm not listening. Not this one, that one. Me? Yeah, you. Okay.
And the other guy, does it let him kill him? Well,
yeah,
I just took him. Yeah, no.
Yeah, he just lets him take him off.
Yep, off to the meat processing plant.
Yep.
Yeah, so now they're like, hey, we're not gonna cry for him, let's get back to war. So it's kind of like a little side mission, if you will. This was
seemed like a side adventure. They're probably at this point inside Valiant. They're shifting politics and creative teams, and so they're like, you guys just work on the side issue, just to
Yeah, and this one was much the same way because they had some of these Christmas issues like this, the Merry Christmas deal, and this is kind of another side quest. This time, we're going down to the land down under in Australia.
But we're back to Jim Calafiore.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
And Dave DeVry's writing, isn't he an artist as well? Or am I misremembering that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll have to look it up.
So you kind of start following this robot in a detective suit off it. What is he, like a private eye? I forgot.
Yeah, so he's trying to sell them some information on.
It's so funny. It's like, I'm gonna dress up as a detective so I could be more low key as a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nobody will notice me. I don't look out of place.
You can do anything in a trench coat,
right?
I don't look shady at all.
Raphael taught us that. Ninja
Yes.
Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they show up to try to kill Leisha, and of course that didn't end well for the robot.
That page is very sexual, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah, right here. Oh my god, yeah.
and then the one next to it, but then like she finishes off the robot, he explodes, like
Ooh.
very, very suggestive.
She looks
I
like
bet-
she's exploding too. You know?
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit.
exactly. Oh my god, I bet they actually did that on purpose. These kids.
You know, I feel like maybe Gonzalo Mayo was channeling some Vampirella even here.
Yeah, I almost feel like Jim California. We should ask him about this one.
What kind of photo reference did you use for that page?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So here she's still going back to Rye right here that instead of Magnus. But yeah, they're gonna track down who the problem is, who came after them, and they head out into the fields there.
And then we see the robot making deals with a human.
There we go. Start getting political.
Yeah, deals with the devil, I guess.
That page is really cool. The one on the left.
So what's happening here? Did we move to another area now? Oh, they're the headquarters.
Well, these are out at the farms, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the sundowners.
Yeah, they're out at the farm, and so they start shooting these like lasers, or what do they call them? Because later on they shoot him at Rye, and he's like, "Oh, that's a new thing. I don't like this." Oh, photon cannon.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Man, that's a new one." So yeah, they're just attacking, fighting back in the fields, and then they're rescued by the Australians.
The page on the right, I thought was kind of funny, that last panel, because it looks like he's getting shot in the foot.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
That one made me laugh. It was lined up kind of funny. I don't know. Like, it's a good action page, but that, yeah.
California does bring it back. I mean, like, I felt like the last issue with whoever the other artist was, it was kind of boring. California definitely brings the energy back.
Yeah, because it's the same inker. So I think that, so the problem, I don't think was the inker. I think it was the pencil.
Yeah.
But.
Well, after Rye getting shot in the foot, he's on the floor now. He's like, my foot.
So he said, "On your feet, Northy."
That's funny. But I just got shot in the foot.
Right.
So who are these guys now? These old dudes? They're like mercenary dudes?
Yeah, they're from Australia.
Yeah, they're they're like the people that the protectors, I guess, kind of.
How did our heroes go from New York to Australia? Did I miss something?
The power of imagination, Carl.
They just showed up, like,
yeah.
Wow.
It's in
they're bouncing around trying to take out the Malevs wherever they can, you know.
Well, they're trying to also gather like a coalition of sorts, right?
Right.
So they went down to South America. They picked up some allies there and saved the trees.
The Amazons, like the warriors, yeah.
So on here he talks about, hey, we came because you're holding our teammate captive. He said, Magnus's presence threatened to embroil Australian war, a war that North Am's self-indulgent reliance on robots brought on itself. So, he says, hey, if we were like up to snuff on our technology, we'd be just as bad off as North Am is today. But because of our abhorrence to it and staying very basic, and so Rye's trying to get them riled up to say, hey, we're all in this together. Yeah. And, one world based on whose model?
Right.
Which, does raise a good point, because everybody's all about one world this, but like, okay, who's heading it up,
Yeah, true.
So he throws him in there with who we find out to be Magnus.
Got it. And then how did Magnus? So basically, is this the source of why they're here? Is because they lost Magnus in Australia, and so they came to try to rescue him?
Yeah, and this issue, usually in the issues that cross over, normally they say it in the front. And I didn't think to go back and get Magnus, the robot fighter, like 35 or so. So this might have been like a callback. That's why
I think it might mention it at the end. I don't remember exactly. But there's a few of those issues where they jump back and forth.
Yeah, so there's a issue coming up, and I knew we had an issue trying to get it on there. So Magnus and the Robot Fighter 37, which is pretty important to look through before we go to 22, because it's very disjointed if you don't. So the storyline.
Well, I didn't read that Magnus issue, so yeah, I could. It was a little, yeah.
So they they fight them off, and they're like, all right. Everybody else starts showing up. I know who your friends are. So then they're like, hey, peace on earth, holiday celebration. We're in unity. Wink, wink. And a victorious new year. So they bid them farewell, and then it goes. And so it alludes on the last page to a new creative team, a new direction, and the end of the Malev War coming next.
All righty.
Magnus number 35 and Rye 20.
Yeah. So, I don't think that except for 37, was a must-have to come back to that. But I think we're safe on skipping those.
This is Carl's favorite issue.
It is.
The Archies.
Yeah.
Well, that too, but I mean, I know he was excited about the big Spylock reveal.
Yeah.
I do like in that first page there the Nikes.
Dude, the Nike's super cool. He's heavily influenced by the Archies, and I am an Archie.
Yeah, so he's one of the Archies, so he's back and he's training and talking to him.
You're saying there was a break? There was like a Magnus issue that kind of came between the last issue and this? Okay. Do you remember what happened there?
No, I mean I can go get it if you want. But
yeah, I didn't read any Magnus. It wasn't part of the assigned readings.
We're here.
Powered through.
Where are the Archies, by the way? Are they in New York?
No, I thought they were somewhere like Tibet or something. Like
somewhere down there.
Damn, so they went from New York to Australia to Tibet. These guys travel.
Well,
fast.
I mean, you got spaceships, right, Carl?
True, that's true. no big deal. Teleportation.
I mean, the entire country of Japan was a space dragon. Like, come on.
That's true. Or hop and a skip.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like a Southwest plane to Vegas, except it's from Australia to Tibet.
I'm glad you used Southwest and not Spirit Airlines because that might have taken you somewhere else. But.
Oh my God, it will be the word. The spirit of the rising dragon. All right, so what's happening here now? He's talking to Mother Nike, right? They're all catching up.
Yeah, you kind of get and of course it might be that because I know how things end, or we know how things end, but she's talking about your destiny to play the part of the savior during the worst of times, natural order,
and he's kind of get like saying why me.
Yeah, but it's like kind of wrapping some stuff up of what's to come. Kind of having those last conversations, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, more wars. Malise show up again.
Yep. Always fighting.
Always, yeah. It's always like something's happening, drama's happening. It's almost like it's definitely a formula at this point. It's like this happens in an issue, but then when does the Malise show up?
Right.
Yeah, and so like I said, we'll soon find out how one of the ways that they're showing up so often. And Spylock goes to doing a little bit of training. Hey, quit wallowing in self-pity. You got work to do. And so they do a little sparring match, talking as superheroes are apt to do while they're sparring. But talking about his reflexes, master your body completely. And then so he catches the arrow. It's like very Jean-Claude Van Damme. You remember that where kind of dodged the arrow like that?
Yeah, Spylock's not holding back. He freaking shot an arrow at his face.
Was that Kickboxer or Bloodsport?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one that was.
Yeah,
I feel like they're like the same movie.
Yeah, well, pretty good. I'm impressed. But so he says like, "Hey, it's enough. I'm good. We'll go through with this." So everybody's sitting there fighting. She's getting more and more pregnant, right?
Yeah, look at her.
Big. Yeah.
Contractions are coming, she says. And so they're trying to get down to the vault because we're all going to die if we don't. And but the problem is the power's out.
Right. So she's going to use herself as a circuit.
Yep.
Get the doors open so they can get in there.
All right, Tekla. Big sacrifice here.
I like that she's squeeing because usually
That's
a noise of excitement, right? But she's getting electrocuted.
Oh my gosh. poor girl. Not only does she not get love, she dies in like the worst way.
And they say, hey, I don't think
she a broken heart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sad.
I don't think that's what killed her. I think it was the electricity.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think that too. But so she took one for the team to include saving the baby, because she never was able to make it. I guess this is her way of making up to Leisha.
That's true, because like she kind of gave her some drama, and so now she sacrificed herself to save the baby. It's cool.
Yep.
I like how they have these closed loops at the cost of death.
Yeah. So they rescue this guy, and he's like, "Hey, Magnus wants to launch a final assault against the Emperor, even though it'll probably go worse than last time." So you remember last time they show up, Emperor drops the floor on them.
And this is one of those things that happens in the Magnus issue.
There you go.
But I want to point out that one panel, the third panel on the left-hand page.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very, very suspicious.
Yeah,
to say the least. It's like bright eyes and looks like a floating dentures.
Mm-hmm. Well, because usually when they show his face like that in the hood, it's all black, but they're really hinting at that.
Yeah, they're showing the teeth there, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Sub Legion of Comics. Welcome.
When we get to talking about Turok, talking about Legion of Comics, Mark has been going through Turok as he's picking up his kids and talking it up, like going through the whole series. Like, we got to have Mark on to talk up some Turok.
All right, Mark, you are going to be our Turok guest, so get ready.
He actually just got his first, I think it was his first piece of official art,
nice.
Turok color guide.
So. Congratulations. Cool. Yay. And I'm very sorry.
Right?
In advance.
For your net worth. But
all right. So we're back.
He's not going to die in vain. So she's kind of like having this little sabbatical moment with, her son that she never remembers.
So sad, right? The total deadbeat mom.
She's got a job to do, man. Come on.
Yeah. And so, she says, "Thank you, my friend. Don't forget me. This is going to come back to bite her, It's going to come back to bite her. So Rye comes back a little ahead of time and finds what he wasn't looking for.
Spylock? He's like, damn it, Rye.
Wait, is he a necrophiliac? Oh, okay.
Done. We're here. You weren't supposed to return so soon.
Spooky.
So Andre owns that page on the left.
Oh, wow.
Really? That's a cool page.
It is. That page on the right was on Comic Link last year, and I missed it.
Oh, man. I like the one on the right a little better of the two.
It was a great page, and I certainly would have paid more for it. But
who got it?
I don't know. I haven't seen it pop up on CAF.
Yeah.
But so he leaps into it. It's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. And he's like, hey, dude, dude was going to die anyway. This is the way I sustain myself. Like this, I hate hurt nobody.
He's a friendly spider alien. He only eats people who are going to die anyway.
Well, and it's kind of like Morbius, if you remember those issues.
Sure.
Yeah, especially the Todd McFarlane issues.
He's eco-friendly. He's just recycling.
Well, there is that too, because spider aliens are very eco-centric,
They are. Yeah. There's
And
actually
so-
some a good side to them in that.
Yeah,
They're
so
really
it's like
good.
they're very environmentally conscious, because that's all part of their religion. And the Vine, especially in VEI, they lean into that like really heavy.
Really? I like that. That's cool.
Is
And
that
so,
is that the thing like where the armor, the exo armor comes
Mhm.
from? Okay. Like in is that what we see in the beginning of Exo Zero?
yes. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Okay.
kind of worship the armors. The armors are kind of like
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that whole opening sequence in Exo Zero was, no dialogue or anything. It was all just that imagery of
Right.
the ritual, right, of them birthing the new armor, harvesting it from the tree or whatever, which was really cool. I don't think I remembered it being called the Vine. I don't know if I missed that somewhere or something, but that's
Well,
cool.
yeah. So, like I said, so the Vine is got like a whole consciousness. Not to spoil it, but it's like a whole consciousness that the spider aliens can tap into, and it's a way that Exo and Ninjak end up tracing them and tracking them down to spoil their plans for world dominance in VEI. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I had mentioned this earlier, but this is kind of the reason why he's so adamant that Rye has to stop the Malevs, because if the Malevs destroy life, that's their religion.
Okay.
Nobody said Earth's plant life is sacred to my people. Look, he was dead anyway, and I had to feed. He's like, no.
When you got a nom, you got a nom.
Yeah,
dude. There's a Cassidy moment. Newell.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. It's like maybe Cassidy evolved and became a spider alien.
Maybe he was the whole time.
That's true. Wow, this is weird. This page is a spider.
Well, and some of the spider aliens, the early issues of XO in particular, like they genetically change themselves so that they can appear more human.
Well, yeah, like the ones that were like the CEO of Orb.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
how did there was always a giveaway with them because they only had like 3 fingers.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, and then as soon as they like open up their shirt or whatever, you see that they're kind of built funny in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How does Spylock like hide it this whole time? Like he could transform back and forth. Is that his thing?
So it's part of the genetic change that they work on them. Well, in a few issues, you'll notice when he rips off his deal, he has this whole thing on him that's kind of like this armor, but it's also like this tech suit. So I think that also has something to do with it.
Yeah.
After we only go into like the first issue, so we don't really see a lot of it. But they really lean more into his spider alien look than they do the traditional Spylock look after Rye dies. So.
What's up, Tom? Our friend Tom, Mr. Tom McDonald.
Hello, all the way to Chicago.
Hello, sir.
Yep.
And so comic real quick. Added Torok issue 12, page 11. Away. Oh, congratulations! Yeah,
there you go.
Color guide is not enough, and I actually just got my first color guide as well.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, did you get that set of them that you got?
Yeah, I did. But I'm scared to open it because every time I open it, I keep getting like the lettering falling out. Yeah.
Oh no.
So it's the whole stack is here.
Oh wow.
But I'm really scared to open it.
What is it from? What book is it from?
Archer and Armstrong.
Okay.
Yeah, number 10.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is the book that they use for the Valiant Validated Signature series. So it's one of those.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Yeah, because it is a key issue. That cover, I believe, is on CAF. Don't remember offhand who has it.
Someone owns this cover. That's a great cover.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who has it. But that first page right there, I own that one.
Nice, congrats.
Where the war, all the Malevs are coming after them.
It's awesome.
Where are you looking it up? Is suspense killing you?
Yeah, I don't see the cover on the CAF.
And that page right there, Dan owns that one because he was trying to sell it not too long ago.
The left or the right?
The left, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, they pick up where the other one left off. They're having their moment, and he's like, "Hey, I don't like it, but it is what it is."
And he switched back super fast.
Yeah. So you kind of got like almost a vampire vibe, you know, that really when that bloodlust, you know, hits him.
Oh yeah, and the way they draw him definitely looks kind of like the way the vampires are portrayed a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude, they're Valiant. I have to say it, way ahead of their times. They came up with the they them before we did. So, years ahead. So Spylock is definitely that.
Yeah. So they're, you know, as they had gotten to safety, but things are still going pretty bad around them as they're about to give birth.
Wow, it's crazy. What a mess.
Yeah.
Look at this. Now it's like you kind of sees him differently now. You know, he's like, who is this dude?
Oh yeah, he's getting hungry, smelling the blood of the guy that's dying.
Oh, is that what's happening here? Oh yeah, his eyes got red. Look at this.
He's hangry.
Yeah.
Over.
He's like, hey, you know, I need to, you know, can you kind of get rid of them?
Go distract everybody.
Boy. Kazuyo, here we go. She's back at it. I mean, she's a badass. She's been a consistent role throughout this whole thing.
I thought she was a deadbeat mom, Carl.
You know, we all can't be perfect. So she's a great badass, but she is a deadbeat mom. She's one. With the armor, she's one. Without the armor, she's the other.
Well, and if you think back to the early issues of Rai, it was kind of the opposite, right? You know, she came off as like this, you know, Rai, you're out there doing your thing, being the hero for everybody else. You need to be home with me and the baby.
Yep.
But then really when she gets the Exo Commando armor, you know, that's when it kind of changes. She's like, nah, I'm got to do my part too. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it really does change.
That's when she turns into the cop that can't stop working.
Yeah. Yeah, and then especially after Rai 8, you know, after the kind of the aftermath issue of Unity, you know, she's like, okay, Rai's dead. You know, I'm going to have to step up, you know, my game. So,
but like during that whole like storyline, she gets locked up with what is it? The other woman,
yeah,
Picasso or whatever. And you know, like she basically gets a nanny because like that chick was a bad guy. She didn't have anything else to do after that because the government's broken up and everything. So she's like, I guess I'll just, you know, take care of your kid.
That's right. Yeah.
Dang, she gets shot in the neck. It's brutal.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you kind of get, because like this whole time, I mean, she's just been kicking butt, taking names, and so like to be, you know, slapped around like a rag doll here, you're like getting kind of the enormity of the onslaught that's about to happen.
And the Maleeves are really starting to look different now too. From this angle, they look really different. This is a different kind of robot.
No, they're all Maleeves.
Yeah, they look so different, right?
Yeah, it's probably just I guess a different artist's take on it, because we got David Ross who's going to do the next several issues.
Yep. Okay. So now delivering the baby, Leisha's on it. Woo! That's very graphic right there. And then Magnus is over here like.
Okay, so remember what I was talking about, how the whole thing comes full circle again with him and Leisha. So if you go to the next page, she has this moment where, you know, he's like, well, they're just talking about it, right? Spylock wants to eat that guy over there.
All of a sudden, he can't resist anymore. After like 20 issues, he's like, oh, now that I'm out,
I gotta stay out.
Control myself.
I got a feeling for the flavor.
Yeah, so the Geomancer tells him, says, hey, look, I can kind of get a glimpse of things here, and it's not really clear what's going to happen, but I do know for sure that you need to settle your affairs. So, you know, he goes over there and he has this little talk with Magnus, and you know, he kind of lets Magnus vent a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And so Rai says, I don't want Leisha. She belongs with you. You know, so it's at this point he kind of like, all right, I'm going to quit using my powers and be like at least thoughtful that I'm not going to use my powers. It's like, well, that's okay. You had your way with her now, right? I'm getting sloppy seconds, you know?
Woo. So angry, so much anger. I'd be angry. We all would
Yeah.
be. It's kind of a messed up thing to do for a Rye, but it's cool. What I love about that though, this is Rye's book, but he's not perfect, right? He kind of screwed up as well, and the cool thing is he kind of admits it too.
Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of
and
cool life lessons.
Sure. And then Rye, they find out that he's a spider alien, but we need him, and I trust him.
Mm.
And hey, shoot him later. The baby's coming now.
Right.
No.
And so this is kind of that moment I was talking about, because if you remember when Chris had Magnus, Pete was going off the rails. Like, he took on Mother God, he about got himself killed, and he's just kind of going off the rails as he's trying to deal with it. But when the baby comes to be born, he comes back to her side and says, "Hey, we're going to do this together." And so
him and
Magnus
his
moment.
tunnel buddy, according to Legion of Comics.
I don't think I've heard that one before.
I've heard that one before. Oh man.
But yeah. So the baby can tear us apart or bring us together. It's part of me. If you love me, if you love the baby, it kind of gives me this like single mom vibes. It's like, if you love me, you gotta love my 6 kids, my 6 different baby daddies or something. It's like, what are you talking about, woman?
It's progressive. It's really progressive, actually. If you think about the times, right? This is the 90s. It's like, dude.
So then Magnus says, "Hey, let's find out if I got a niece or a nephew here." So like all of a sudden we're brothers again. We tight. We all right.
Right.
We just cousins. So we tight. We're tunnel buddies.
So as all the Malevs are trying to beat down the doors, they're like, "All right, the baby's coming," and then we have the moment like the cover alludes to on the next page. Which,
that is a scary looking baby.
One of the things that all comics used to do for the most part, which was allude to what was going to happen in the deal. So you were kind of getting a sneak peek. And that's what Valiant did a lot of.
Dude,
but they notice his eyes.
Valiant is so at the head of the game. Is like, in modern day, you have like Baby Groot, Baby Yoda. We got Baby Bloodshot, baby. Except it's not cute at all.
No, like I get that it's supposed to be bloody. It just came out right, but it looks like it's got 3rd-degree burns. It
does. I don't think they did a very good job either inking or coloring this one.
That is not well rendered.
No, not well rendered at all. Yeah,
I think
well rendered into the wrong direction, maybe.
Right.
I
get what they're trying to do, but I don't think they did it well. So
yeah.
Well, this also speaks into a lot of like where Valiant is today now. Like if you look at even this page, like I feel like the old crew would have done a really good job with the colors and just be super attentive as to like what a newborn baby would look like. Maybe they're just trying to do a Bloodshot baby, baby Bloodshot.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And then so
they had this like little making up moment,
Yeah, that's cool.
And then Spylock's like, snack time.
Well, I was distracted by the baby.
Yeah. Look over there.
Don't mind me. I'm just eating my Lunchable.
It's so funny. After 20 issues of not taking that kind of risk, he's just kind of like all out now. I'm out of the closet. Let's do this. Everyone knows already.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So Rye says, hey, he resisted his hunger far longer than any spider alien could. He says, I'm ashamed to say it's true. The genetic engineers made me too human. Wow. So he's kind of leaning back more into his spider alien side here. The human side, wouldn't have to do all this.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
So yeah, so she gives birth, and they're like, all right. Rye says, all right.
They're ready to fight. They're locked and loaded with their cable guns.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Malif shows up again.
Yep.
And they could never have one peaceful issue. One peaceful.
Hey, they got through a childbirth. What more do you want?
That's true.
Right?
At the moment.
Like they could have broken in and I don't know, kidnapped the baby or something, but they didn't.
Then surprise, we have visitors, and somebody gets shot.
Wait, who got
Right
shot?
there
Where?
on the end. So
On the end.
the
Oh.
Storm Watchers or the PSI Lords.
Oh yeah, Psylords. Yeah. Is
they
it
show
PSI
up.
Lords or Psylords?
I mean, tomato, you know, depending on the mood I'm in.
Yeah, the Psylords. The Psylords are the hardcore in the future, right?
That's right.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, later they would get their own title. I'd run for 11 or so issues. They had their own Chromium #1 cover.
And was that all set in the same time frame as
Yes.
Rye? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they don't exist in like current time frame. So
you said that they're basically the hardcores. Are they not aliens then?
They're hardcore people. They're hardcore descendants powered by nanites.
Oh, okay.
So nanites, just similar to the way Bloodshot is.
Right.
So in VH1, Bloodshot and hardcore are two separate things. Like one's Project Rising Spirit, you know, the other's something else. When VI, they just merged them together, and they're all part of the same deal.
It kind of makes sense, right?
Right.
Okay.
And because they're kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And so here it's kind of the same. And I don't know if Dinesh maybe took a page from that to say, well, they kind of combined the Psylords. So why don't we just make, you know, Bloodshot and Hardcore part of the same team? But yeah, because they have nanites, which we'll find out shortly. So we want to pause right here because of the all important issue here.
Yeah.
Because there's a big gap. Like if you picked up Rye the next month, which it even says, hey, you know, this is picking up from
you get the Emperor on the cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Dinesh, I believe, owns this cover here.
Of course.
Nice. Of course, yeah.
Right. So this is alluding to what is going to end up happening as Magnus and Rye. We'll see.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. All right, I couldn't figure this thing out.
So we find out on the first page who bit the dust.
Ooh,
oh, not the bird.
Yeah.
Mother bird.
So they shoot the bird. It's a double entendre there. And so they come after Rye, and he's like, hey, you know what I'm made of, you know, blah, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, I know. And that's why I'm able to turn him off. He turns his power off.
Ooh, that's sick.
Rye's like,
so with the Psylords kind of like Rye, they have like
they have nanites.
Oh, they have nanites in them too. Oh shoot. But they're not as powerful as Rye's.
No. So he turns
Rye's not the
OG. And so, so then they come in and they're like, all right, chill out, guys, chill out. You know, everybody's kind of letting the testosterone flow freely. And they explained to him the reason why they destroyed the bird was because it was implanted with the tracking device. So
that's how Malev found them.
This is how they kept finding them, was because the bird was always around Magnus.
See, and I completely missed out on that because I didn't read this issue.
Right. So they destroy him, and then they say, well, I guess you probably don't already know it. I know something you don't know.
No, we just found out last issue.
They're like, you didn't read last issue, did you?
Right.
Wow. And they're like, we already knew that.
Bruh.
And so they find out that Rye has so they originally came here to fight the spider alien invasion. And they're like, dude, you're like years too late for that. They're like, we get it. So we're coming here to help you with the Malevs. So they came from their world to help with the Malev invasion. So
when you say their world, are they on a different Earth or something, or like a different planet?
They're on a different planet.
Oh, okay.
And so they show up, and they're very interested in Rye's child, in particular, and Rye too, because obviously he has the power that he does to turn off their power and their nanites. And so, hey, you remember their plan to go straight for the Emperor?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, we can do that. Let's go. So here is the Emperor, and this is Leisha's dad right here.
Yeah. The
who was the
president or whatever.
president.
Yeah.
And so she's talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, they're coming for you, and they're not coming alone." And so then we got a nice big splash scene
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
with everybody.
That's cool.
And so so as per usual, everybody's just showing up, fighting, destroying some robots.
Boom, 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 boom.
Now they got, the Psylords are pretty powerful, so they've got them on their team. They're making some headway to getting back to the Emperor. So they jump in. Got a group shot right here.
Nice.
Jumping in to save the day as they crash into the tower. And also they're coming in time to save. Magnus saves his pa-in-law. Who, if you read the earlier issues of Magnus, like he didn't get along with him at all, because Magnus is not very big on politics, which again is another full circle thing, because Magnus becomes like the president or whatever.
Yeah, hilarious.
So they're all fighting them. A couple of action scene pages. Hey, y'all keep going.
Yeah. I wonder if Magnus does make that noise. Hi-ya, every time he does.
He does a couple times.
Yeah, he does.
Especially when he's doing the judo chops. Yeah.
So they show up. There's the Emperor.
Oh, Emperor.
Looking rusty as ever.
Oh.
And says Rye says, "Yeah, watch your step. The last time the floor was booby trap." And
Booby trap.
she says, "No, meat, you have gotten this far. We shall reward your persistence. If you wish to pit your puny rodent mind against ours, then proceed." Now, that should have been the hint that I don't want to do what I think I'm fixing to do.
Right.
So he goes, "Oh, yeah? Mind lock you."
Bam.
Then it's like, "Hey, dude, what's going on here?" And so well, he finds out quickly that things didn't go so great, because now Rye's possessed.
Oh, no.
So Magnus is like, "All right, guys, hey, what's going on over here? Why are you sitting there?" And then he finds out, because then Magnus gets thrown through the wall.
Damn.
And so that's when
that issue is very key, actually.
then it leaves off with him being possessed right here.
I remember this issue.
Basically is the Emperor now.
Yeah, so it says, "Rye, you don't look so good." "Wrong, meat. The unit's been upgraded. Come and find out for yourself." So that's when they find out, next issue, because it starts with him jumping at them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what happened here?
Right. I was very confused when I got to this one.
Yeah, no wonder. Wow, so brutal, dude. It's crazy now that you show that issue. I do remember, Dinesh having the cover, but I also remember the significance of it. It's actually a pretty big issue.
Yep. And so this is a big issue too.
Yep.
And so they everybody's kind of surveying the land. And so when the Emperor is talking, it's in a little more of a green shade. Yeah. And you'll see like yellow thought bubbles or thoughts are coming from Rye, as Rye's still inside but not in control of his body.
Kind of like during the era when Deadpool had two voices in his head.
Yeah, Madcap.
Yep, during the Daniel Way run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Woo!
So he goes straight into it.
Oh my god!
Man,
he's like, yeehaw! Yeah, look at that. Yeehaw!
It's a very almost kind of Spider-Man pose,
right? Yeah, it seemed like out of place. I mean, this, like, you can imagine Rye doing that with his little gymnastics, but it seems it didn't really fit.
It's strange, right? This whole
come on, meat.
Yeah,
and very strange.
And maybe that's it. It's like, I'm a robot. I don't know how to operate a human body, and I'm going to do stuff that's weird.
That's funny.
The Last Day Exorcism, Part 2.
Yeah. So the fight commences, and he proceeds to just take everybody down.
Going hard. Look at this. What do you do? Like
use him as a shield.
Oh, he's on a shield guy.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's trying to like crush his ribs or something.
Yeah,
maybe he did both.
Yeah. So he explodes her gun. He sends that guy flying off because he can control his powers.
So interesting. The Psylord seems so powerful, yet kind of not so powerful next to Rai, right? It's like,
well, that and the Rai and the Emperor combined.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, as progressed, Rai's power seemed to like kind of escalate.
Yeah.
And then so if you think like, well, what has he not done that he could do? Right. And because there was no manual with the Blood of Heroes to say, hey, this is what all I can do. And so if you have, I don't know if y'all read X-Men back in the day where Emma Frost took over Iceman's body.
Oh, that's when he became like Omega level, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he was able to not have to do the ice slide, and he was able to bulk himself up and all that kind of stuff. And before that time, it was just like traditional Iceman. And then
he just
like,
didn't know he could do all that.
Yeah, I didn't know I could do all that. Just like you got untapped power. And so kind of the same thing with the Emperor here. Like she's kind of tapping into stuff that Rai didn't know to do or didn't want to do. So yeah, he's proceeding just to take everybody down. So they're like, okay, we got to. So you see, he shoots or takes. There's the mechanics that I mentioned behind his cloak. Well, obviously he can control that. So Magnus comes and smacks him upside the back of the head.
Yeah, and then this is where Magnus has to do something he doesn't want to.
There we go.
So yeah, they're fighting each other. So then he throws Magnus off, and they're like, "Hey guys, we got to regroup here."
Dude, look at this evil Rai right here, dude. Dude, he's like lost it. He's like, ha 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 ha.
Very
nefarious laugh. Yeah. So so Magnus says, "Hey, you and I'll pursue him alone. Your people are somehow vulnerable to his powers, but if you can get me close enough, I'll take him out." And so he's Rai, the Emperor rather, is going after the baby, right? Because is that going to be more powerful? We don't know. So he goes to take them down, and then he kills one of the Psylords, as you see right there.
Yeah, look at that. He got green blood. Why do they have green blood, even though they're like humans?
Yeah, they're not entirely human.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they're trying to protect him, and like, okay, this is going bad. Well, here comes Magnus. He's coming down to save the day. But
Magnus the Rocketeer.
Right. Well, but it's electronics.
Oh yeah.
So he's just like, boom, destroy you. So it just seems like, okay, there's not any stopping you until he goes to try to stop Magnus.
Yeah, but then you get like the internal arguing between Rai and the Emperor.
Like, no.
Do it. No, do it. No, I don't want to do it.
Look at that, Rai. Get a hold of yourself.
And then he asks Magnus to kill him.
If this would have been like in today's comics, this would have been like a 8-series arc right here, because like from one issue, essentially you go from him being, having this like slight back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I took control long enough for you to kill me. Like this would have been a whole back and forth for 8 issues in today's comics. But but they quickly end it. He tells him, this is what you got to do. Please do it. I'm losing it. And you can kind of, the lines on his face are kind of indicative of him taking back control over him.
Wow. Oh, woo.
That's a hell of a DPS.
That's brutal. Who the heck owns this?
I'm not sure on the actual art. The guy that owns I believe the guy that sold me the Harbinger 25 colors, owns the colors on this too. Or it might be Dan, one of the two.
I really like Magnus.
Colors are on calf.
Wow, this is so good. It's so sad. Dang.
Yeah, so he finally makes peace with this guy that he's been fighting, with brother in arms, and he's got to take him down. So So you have this whole dialogue back and forth, and as the emperor is trying to escape, he's like, "No, you're going to die with me." And as he does, it explodes the emperor, unfortunately killing everybody in the Matrix too.
Yep.
Ooh, boom, 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 boom. Look at that. That's crazy. That's rough. It's kind of sad. Like that. This moment's crazy. It's kind of sad. He's like crying.
Well, and so that I own these 2 pages right here.
Oh, these two? Whoa,
So,
nice pages.
And this is one I really wish the word bubbles were on, right? Because like most of the gravitas here is found in the word, the wording going back and forth between the emperor, and then Magnus's, like internal thought says, hey, I hope it was worth it. All the fireworks for celebrations that cost millions of lives, and we just add them to the list. And he talks about all the friends that have died: Willow, Felina, Marie, Timbuk, Tekla, Asa, and why is it only yours I feel? And it quotes like this would never go in today's world. A single death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic. From Joseph Stalin. So
wow. Oof, wow. So is all bubbles all gone and it's just glue marks on your art?
Yeah.
Wow, this is really good.
But some of the bubbles are there, but they don't have anything on them. So.
Yeah.
All right, two more issues.
Yep.
I got about 10 minutes, so we'll blast through these.
The main one's going to be this, and it's pretty able to blast through. So Magnus comes back and he tells everybody, "Hey, I had to kill him. He wanted me to do it. There's 2 things he wanted. He wants Spylock to take care of the blood of heroes, and he wants his son to be raised by the Archies."
That's cool.
So the Psylords are not too hip on that. So he gets the blood of heroes, and like a similar deal as the way he got the blood of heroes is taken out of him.
Now, what's interesting about those 2 pages is, Carl, you talked about when we first met Spylock, how he was kind of like from the future Wakanda.
Yeah.
And it's interesting there when he takes his cloak off, that design of his clothing underneath kind of looks like how, the Black Panther suit has looked in the past.
It does. That's so funny.
Yeah. It would just be purple lines instead of the green. It's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you caught that. That's cool. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, so they put a tracking device on the blood of heroes, but he quickly gets rid of it and dismantles it, and he hides it. So he goes into hiding with the blood of heroes because after this issue, we're going to fast forward several years until until Obi is grown up. So this is kind of like the aftermath. They're wrapping up everything, trying to get the peace deals, the Malevs. They can't have robots that have their own, AI or whatever anymore. It's going to be against the law. And I know that the little chap has gotten a little bit older at this point. I mean, maybe 1, 2, something like that. But she says, "Hey, Mr. President, it won't be long before you have your own little bundle of joy. I'm pregnant again." So she is obviously fertile myrtle
on the way. Yep.
And so yeah.
So fast. They jump through time like crazy here, huh?
Yeah, the Storm Watchers, the Psylords wanted to test him because if you noticed, he had that purple thing where the Ra symbol was. Like how much of his powers did he genetically inherit versus how much was in the blood. So she comes back. Obviously, her son's distraught. You always forget about me. You always got something else to do. He's always crying about yesterday. He forgot it was my birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a deadbeat mom.
Yep. So he's talking to his nanny, obviously, and she's telling him about back how it was back in the old days, and how they overthrew grandmother, and Ra was on grandmother's side, and all, your father, the last Rai was on his side. So he decides. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was at the end of this issue. So he gets old. Obi gets old enough to go to the Archies, and so they send him off, but not without his close friend.
They grew up together basically.
Yeah.
Rai's son, the two Rai's sons, all basically grew up together. That's cool.
And so he shows him his dad versus his dad. It's like you're a fake. They're calling you Rai. You're not even the Rai. Like you're not even of the bloodline, you know. And
You're
so
just some dude's son.
That's right. And without the blood of heroes. And so he says, "Hey, I'm going to figure out how to bring grandmother back, and I'm going to be the real Rai."
Oh wow! So he's basically like calling him a Jon Snow.
A little bit.
Yeah. He's just,
Oh wait, what happened? Where's the?
It probably
goes back to Rai.
Yeah, it's just Rai
yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it might have just changed titles.
Yeah, it's under the regular Rai one. Yeah.
So 24.
24. Yeah, there you go.
All right, here we go. Closing it out, guys. This is reintroduction of Rai. So okay, so let me get it straight. So the guy on the cover now, is this which Rai's son is this?
The last one. Yeah. You notice this is Obi, so he has the
real blood heroes.
Right. But he doesn't have the blood of heroes, remember, because the blood of heroes is in a thing under Spylock's care. Okay. So he just has that birthmark right there, like he did. And so it's not really sure yet as to, because his mother had powers too. Right. So and his dad had powers. So kind of like mutants, usually in Marvel, like if mutants get together, their kids are mutants as well. So like how much of that does he have? We know he doesn't have the blood of heroes, but how much of it does he have? So he's training with the Archies, as is his cousin, friend, whatever.
Oh wow, sexiness, bring the sexy back.
Yeah, there you go. And so so he's still whining and complaining because his mommy's not showing him any attention. You got all the time for diplomatic work. It's time I stole my life back. So since
he looks evil, this kid looks evil.
Yeah. Well, he is, because we're not going to cover it. He kills his mom.
Oh shit! Wow, yeah. That's rough.
He kills his mom to take her commando armor.
Oh wow!
Holy crap! Dark.
Yeah. So he's trying to set Rai up to get killed. Or to die, so that he'll be, so he cuts the rope, and kind of backfires on him, because Rai comes over there to save him, and then the robot, is turning on him too, and so the guy who's trying to get killed ends up helping him out, and it's a whole deal. And
it's supposed to be like relationship building exercise, but they end up just trying to fuck each other over,
right? And so, so then at the end, he comes in, says, "Sorry, I'm late." And so he's like, he tries to tell them that, hey, he helped me, not the other way around. And they're like, "Oh no, you're just a good little boy. We know you're lying for him, basically." So he can't win with him. Yeah. And as the few issues that remain in the series go forward, like I said, he kills his mom, takes the commando armor. He actually trains with Spylock. So you remember that whole sequence where he was training with Rai?
Yeah.
That's cool. Stuff with Rai's son too. That's because cool. At first he's like, "Hey, I don't know if you can handle the blood of heroes or not. So I don't know if you're worthy." And so then a couple of issues after that, he ends up saying, "Okay, yeah, I think you're ready for it," and he gives him the blood of heroes. Now, in the middle of this, you always got to have a good crossover. Valiant wasn't super bad, but they did get here. So you have the whole crossover. You got the Solar, the Destroyer in the middle of it. This is the Chaos.
This is cool. It kind of, and even like this version of Solar that shows up.
All right, so here it is right here. He kills her, knocks her in the back of the head.
Wow.
And she dies right then and there that fast?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! What a scumbag! But dude, you know one of the things I do love, and it reminds me of Valiant, even as I'm kind of browsing through some of this, is I really like how as time progresses, like they're very organic in the way they introduce new versions of characters. I just feel like sometimes like with the way like Marvel, DC, the way they do it, it's just so out of nowhere. You know, all of a sudden, here's a new version of Batman. All of a sudden, here's a new Spider-Man. There's like no like context as to why, right? But I think Valiant always did like such a good job of introducing new characters and how they're interconnected with the other ones.
So that's where he gets the blood of heroes. And so then now that he has the blood of heroes, can he fight? Yeah, right there.
Got
yeah.
Got it. Boom. Wow. Changes colors.
You're right. And so then he's going to end up fighting against him. Now, another blast from the past as they go forward, because he's wanting to reinstitute like AI and all this other kind of stuff and have like a mother god, and he be not mother god, sorry, Granny, and be her protector like his dad, the Rye, was. And so in doing so, kind of unleash Axe, the manager from the past.
Dude, look at his design. His samurai design is so sick.
Yeah, he was able to move it a little bit to be more fitting to him and to the samurai design. Notice he put the little Japanese sun at the top, on his head too.
All right, I have more time. I bumped my call, so I can stay on.
So yeah, they just blast through, and as he's kind of getting used to using the commando armor.
Wow, it's kind of cool. I like how they made him like a samurai commando.
Oh, look at that page.
Ooh, who has this page? This is sick.
I don't know. I ain't never seen that one.
Call me Rye. Dude, there's so much potential in this like brother story kind of thing, It's really cool. Really good. Really well done. I gotta read this actually.
Well, and let's add another flavor of weirdness, because this title, because you're in the same timeline, is going to Rye or Obi is going to be in Magnus, because Magnus is now the president, and so his mother is obviously Magnus's spouse, and Magnus and her have a son named Torque.
Oh, interesting.
So,
old man Magnus.
He knows to name him that because of the letter he got from his mother back in was that Rye Zero?
Did they put it in they mentioned it in Rye Zero, but because Magnus actually gets that letter, and it's a whole issue where he reads it and
in his book. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, they show Chris writing it and giving it to the geomancers in Rye.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whoa, is that Ninjak? What's going on?
It looks like a mummy.
Yeah, like a mummy Ninjak.
You'll see who that is.
No, who's that?
Oh, is that the Rye's father?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Right there at the bottom down there.
The other Rye. Yeah. So his grandfather.
Right.
His grandfather. Wow.
Well, not his grandfather.
The other.
Oh, yeah. It's hard keeping them straight.
Yeah.
Wait, so how's he still alive and still kicking and ninjaing it up?
Well, I guess some little longevity,
Oh. I want to eat what he's eating. Yeah. All right, here's the Archies. Mother Nike. So how was this? I mean, obviously we're browsing through it, Jason. Was this really well written, or was it like something that had more potential?
I feel like it had potential, but you can see the handwriting on the wall at this point that they're just trying to hold on until Acclaim, kind of reboots the series.
Yeah, this feels like it's got to be around the same time as like toward the end of Exo, when the art completely changed and the colors changed and it just got weird.
It did. Look, you could tell it's just less care, even like on the left side here, it just kind of reminds me of like a Malibu Comics,
Yeah,
it looks like that.
Well, and if you yeah, because you feel like, okay, like you mentioned the dynamic between, they're not really brothers, but they're kind of brothers.
Yeah.
Pseudo. Oh, there's Axe.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
They're kind of brothers, and then you throw Tort, the half brother, in. Like, he's like, okay, you got something you can work with here.
A lot you can work with, yeah.
But they just kind of squandered it at that point. They're gonna end up rebooting the title.
Yeah.
Oh. So they kind of flash back to where Axe kills Bloodshot.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Axe is such a crazy character, how he's evolved through time.
Yeah, so that was them kind of reminding of what took place in Rise Zero.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate the art here, whoever is the artist. I don't hate it.
It's funny, like these pages are cool, but like those first couple with Axe, that made me think of like early Image stuff, very, very 90s.
Yeah, John Royal. It seems like they're moving in that direction. I mean, didn't Bob Lane say that they started pushing him towards like the Image style? And that's exactly this. Yeah.
So that makes sense, right?
Yeah. So it's not bad. It feels very 90s for sure.
Right.
But then they lost their house style, right? They lost their whole. Cuts loose.
Yeah, so Axe is taken over Obi. That's why
I didn't like this. Did you like this whole like border thing that they did? I kind of really started losing track of Valiant Comics when they started doing this border cover thing. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't either. Good, because you're losing part of the art, right?
Exactly. You lose so much of the art, and it's just when you see the original, it's just like half a page for art.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of covers that cut off a big chunk like that.
Yeah.
Like you remember when Marvel did Civil War and they did all the tie-ins, the bottom half was blank.
Horrible.
Yeah, just sucks.
Yeah.
So Axe has taken over or took over, and so that's why he was acting bad there for that first part of that issue back there.
Wait, what happened? He took over
Obi. So if you look at there's a flashback scene right there where he kills Bloodshot. The next page, right there.
Oh, he took over.
See where he's
Blood Heroes guy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Oh yeah, and that's when the Geomancer came and got the Blood of Heroes out of him and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very Image 90s kind of thing. It's like something that would have come up like Extreme Studios or something.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and again, it's sad because at this point, a company that was started based on the stories, had more of a house style of art, as we found out from those people that were there. It wasn't intentional, but it kind of happened. And to go from that to, we'll just throw a story together and throw a price tag, and hopefully people buy it.
So 33 was the last issue then, right? Did they even close it out at all, or was it just kind of like that?
It was very weak. It's like, really? So it goes into the Magnus story, but it still is just like, okay. And they all won. It was kind of one of those story endings. It wasn't a very satisfying one. So talking about Magnus and that title, there are some, because we'll probably never get there in those latter issues, because they're much like these. Like Keith,
what was this? The companion?
So the first 6 issues, I think, were collected in a trade. And so they put the Rye Companion as a separate comic in with that trade in a polybag.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
And so Sean did the art on that one. But this is basically retelling the Rye Zero.
Right, the Zero.
The companion was. So it retells that story right there.
It's cool.
But
hey, Sean fan. There we go.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. I mean, that wraps our Rye review. Like, how do you guys feel, man? I mean, this is a big one for you. All right, Jason? I mean, Rye is your logo.
Yeah, a lot of highs, a lot of lows in the series, a lot of action, obviously.
Yeah.
And like a lot of titles, it was just there at the end, like, you just squandered. I felt squandered, as a victim of its time, right?
Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, I wasn't like the biggest fan of Rye like growing up, and I think a lot of it has to do with just my English being my second language and like the cultural aspect of it all. I did not understand, but now that I reread it, uh, so much potential. There's so much drama. There's so much like character building that happens through it all, and I almost feel like Star Wars can learn a little bit from how this whole thing panned out. I thought they did a really good job. It's like Star Wars Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the sad part about it is that basically Rye goes away because it's not rebooted.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, in Acclaim. So when they redo Acclaim and they reboot Bloodshot and they have Ninjak, which is essentially like Shazam, because he says Ninjak and he turns into Ninjak.
Oh my gosh! Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what era was this? VI?
That's the Acclaim VH2.
Oh, VH2. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's atrocious.
Are we going to read much of the Acclaim stuff?
The only stuff that's semi worth it is Bloodshot. The Exo stuff, Sean did some of the early Exo page stuff. It's okay, but
Quantum and Woody, obviously.
Yeah, and then you got Quantum and Woody, which is interesting because Quantum and Woody now, when Acclaim relaunches, they have several different imprints. They not only have the Acclaim, which is the old Valiant, but they also have Windjammer and Armada. So the differences being some of them are like outside of the Acclaim hero stuff, and then you have the creator-owned stuff. So people like Mike Grell and Starslayer. Valeria, Valeria, is it the She-Bat or Neil Adams?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, had issues with Windjammer. And so then you had the whole Magic the Gathering stuff. First time Magic the Gathering was in comics, was in Acclaim.
I know somebody that picked up a cover during the signature auction that just happened, a Kaluta one for that series.
Wow. Yeah. Kaluta did Magic the Gathering like art?
Yeah, I mean but the thing is like when we were looking at it, it's like, well, who are these characters that are on it? Because it was from like 1995 or something, and it's like no idea. So
yeah, they had a whole bunch of miniseries. Most of the issues would come with the little either a card or what do you call the little life points, or what you used to call them.
The card, like mana crypts and stuff, or like
the little gemstones that you have.
The little beads that they use to count life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, when I played Magic, that's how we played. I'm sorry, so I guess it's changed since then. But
I've seen those. I think there's a few people that still do that. Yeah, but nowadays you just mostly use 20-sided dice.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You pulled in the 20-sided from D&D then. Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, now there's cards where you roll as well. So.
They did they've done 2 now D&D based Magic sets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of showing my age, and that's how long it's been since I played. But
okay. Yes, I mean, we all kind of grew up with it around the same time. But Final Fantasy is coming next.
Wow.
And then later in the year, they're going to do their first official full set of Marvel. It's going to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, no joke. They're not messing around.
But yeah, so they had a whole bunch of miniseries around that time. Acclaim did, but really the only Acclaim hero stuff that they added was Quantum and Woody.
Wow!
And then, so then when Dinesh relaunched, he took like some of the origin from Bloodshot changed with the Acclaim stuff. He took some of that and he mixed the two together and put it into the VEI. And then they brought Quantum and Woody over. So it was interesting that they would. I get maybe he was a fan. Maybe that's a question we asked Dinesh. Like, why'd you decide to bring them over? Were they that big of a hit? Were you a big fan? Reading that, because like the Ninjak, like I said, it's just such a departure. Like the kid gets the things from a video game, I believe, and then like I said, he says Ninjak, and he turns into a ninja.
Did they do a Ninjak video game? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, I know they did Turok and Shadow Man.
Exo Iron Man too.
Also, Armorines had one.
Armorines seems like a fun game. That's a cool one. I could see that as like a Call of Duty, you know.
So Jim Calfourier did the 4-issue Armorines Volume 2. And that's that right there is probably the best series of them. And the issue 4 of that miniseries is kind of one of the, I wouldn't say grail, but harder to find on the comic scene books, just because it was just so low print at that point. But yeah, so Solar played, you know, a huge part. Turok obviously played a huge part, probably their biggest hit. Because they had so many Turok miniseries, but it was not the same old guy.
So speaking of Turok, I mean, is that where we're going next? I think we did talk and we said Turok Ninjak.
No. Bloodshot Ninjak.
Bloodshot Ninjak, and then we'll go Turok, right? So,
yeah, that sounds good.
And if we can get Bart on to talk about maybe the first few issues that he did.
Yep.
And then we can even throw in something about the XO 1516.
Yeah, that's the one where they're hunting the dinos in the sewer, right?
Yeah. And so maybe talk about that. And then after that, Rags Morales actually draws the majority. You know, we had some Tim Truman art. You know, you had some names on there, but Rags basically held. Yeah. I hate to Barbarian Kung Fu. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Jason's got to butter him up first.
Well, yeah, I don't want to hurt his sale because he said he's got him on his IG, and I know he's got him for sale. They weren't great. Fabian Nasieza wrote it. He was the editor.
Co-creator. Okay.
Yep.
Well. Not according to Rob Liefeld, he ain't, but yeah.
My God, I didn't have the best impression of him, and I don't mind talking about it because I remember I was really green coming into the comic book space, and then I went to a panel for Fabian, and I remember working in an industry at the time, you know, from film to comics. I had heard the deal that Rob got, right, as far as royalties, whatever else.
Okay.
And then so during the course of and me being young and ignorant too, kind of dumb, you know, went to this panel and like there was a Q&A. So I basically raised my hand and Fabian's like, you know, kind of just kind of like grumpy about like the comic book industry, you know, just kind of like angry about it. And I raised my hand. I was like, hey, like I know that you're angry, but like wasn't Rob taken good care of? And he like blew the fuck up. He like totally like yelled at me at the panel going, you know, Rob didn't get anything more than I got. Everything I said, I stand by. Da, da, da. And then years later, of course, Rob's super public about how he's well taken care of. And so, yeah, I didn't have the best experience. Sorry, Fabian. I know you're a good person, but I was just ignorant.
Yeah, he seems like a super nice guy. Anytime
I met him once, got him to sign a book. He seemed chill.
Yeah, so I didn't ask him. Publicly apologize. I feel bad because I was very ignorant and I was just curious, you know, and I got, you know, kind of beat up publicly. So whatever. Well,
and Bob alluded to when they brought Fabian in for a claim, he was like, hey, look, I don't hold anything against him. You know, he's just got a job to do.
Good job. Yeah. Get it. So
because they had several titles, Troublemakers, Trinity Angels were just hot garbage water.
But it's a connecting cover.
It is that. It has Ivar on one side. It has Turok on the other side. I know which one he's talking about.
All right. So, I mean, that's the game plan. The next thing we're going to jump into, guys, is Bloodshot Ninjak. And then I think we're going to get Mr. Kevin Van Hook to join us. He's already verbally committed. We got to give him a time and date. Or did we set a date? I don't remember. But, you know.
I think we said the 21st.
Yeah, I think 21st. Yes. So we'll get that in there. And then, I think it's on.
So, guys, if you're out there and you're watching this and you like to hear people ramble about a whole bunch of funny books, be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. And I know he never does it, so I'll do it for him. Mr. Carl Choi, publisher extraordinaire, does run 24/7 Comics. Yes, they're always putting out great Kickstarter events to include the most recent Blazesmith.
Well, now Heroes Be Damned.
Oh,
So,
okay. And I have
well,
signed up for Heroes
started.
to Be Damned. When
Yes,
y'all send
I've
the
signed
link.
up for the notifications.
let's see.
But I think I just got the notification today. Bladesmith should be shipped out to me soon. So
Yeah, we actually shipped the print, and it's going to be filling in the survey, and we'll get it out. And what's cool about Heroes Be Damned is Vince Unico. He has been a very notable convention artist. Does a ton of commissions. That's kind of how I met him. Almost 100,000 followers on Instagram.
oh, wow.
And then he wanted to create this world, and it was really enticing. And then his art was amazing. And but he wanted to write as well. So I ended up pairing him up with Terry Kavanaugh a year ago, and they worked on this together. And if you guys don't know who Terry Kavanaugh is, he was Marvel's editor during the time of, he basically gave Bear Windsor Smith the platform to do Weapon X, because he was the lead editor for Marvel Comics Presents. And we'll have Terry on as well at some point, just to have him come chat with us, because man, he put Jay Lee on Namor, he put Stephen Platt on Moon Knight, he put Alan Davis on Excalibur. I think he's probably made some of the best decisions creatively when it comes to putting people on books. So Terry is an editor of this, and it's basically the return of Terry Kavanaugh. And so this will set him up to be something we actually announced at Comics Pro, that he is now the executive editor for 24/7 Comics. So our 2026 slate should be pretty fun. I'll say that.
Yeah, super nice guy, and like you said, I mean, he did a lot of writing himself as well.
Yes.
So
didn't he work on what was it, Telos, that Mike Wieringo book back in the day?
I don't know. I know he did like X-Man. You remember?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he met.
The one he's shy about was Clone Wars, that I guess had mixed reviews.
Yeah, wonder why. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey, thanks, Barbarian Kung Fu, and I noticed a subtle plug to the auction in 10 minutes, so appreciate you for stopping by. But yeah, fun stuff. So stay tuned, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and so that when we go live, you will know about it.
Thanks, everyone. Till next time.